Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Building the Freedom Fun series. I feel like I haven't sat down and filmed a podcast episode in such a long time. It's only been about a month since I've actually sat down and filmed. There are so many things I want to update you guys on. I want to update you guys on my journey, what's been going on, what's been working, and what's not been working. This is going to be a very raw and honest episode of how things are going so far. Let's go and talk about the coloring book business and just give you a quick update on how it's going. Creating my Japan holiday themed coloring book. It's almost finished. I'm already starting to draft the coloring book on Amazon. I already created the coloring book cover. I just need to add one more page into the book, and that is a character introduction coloring page. I've already created it. I just need to edit it a bit before uploading it. I'm creating my coloring book on Canva, so I hand draw them myself and then I upload it, kind of put the finishing touches on Canva. That's when I export it as a PDF and upload it onto Amazon or publish it. It's almost done. I'm so excited. The next coloring book that I want to kind of work on is kind of want to go and do a cute cozy dessert coloring book. I really want to revamp my Halloween coloring book because Halloween is coming soon in about 4 months. I think that'll give me enough time to kind of do a second version or second edition of the first Halloween book that I created. I've learned so much since I've created that first book. I just feel like it needs a little bit of an upgrade and a version 2 of it. I think I'm gonna prioritize that one first before the dessert coloring book, but that's how everything's going in terms of my coloring book business creation. In terms of sales and marketing, first of all, being very raw and honest, I have not made a sale yet in the coloring book business. I do believe it's because probably of my marketing. I've been struggling a bit with marketing. I kind of have a rough idea of how to market the coloring book. My strategy currently is just to color in the book, post about it as much as possible to TikTok. In terms of reaching as much people as possible on TikTok about my coloring book business, I think that's what I'm struggling with so much. I'm not posting as often as I would like to, just because creating content for the coloring book business is very time consuming. I need to take the time to color in the book, and I am not the best at coloring just yet. I'm still learning. I just need to find a better way to get more content out of the one piece of content that I film for my coloring book business, just so I don't get really burnt out in the content creation process of trying to market this book. I'm trying to create content of the process of me creating the coloring book instead of just coloring in like parts of my coloring book to show. I am going to be doing a bit more research of how other coloring book businesses have been marketing their coloring books. It seems all of them, they just color in and then just show the different art styles and different ways to color in the coloring book, which is very hard for me. But that's one of the things I'm kind of struggling with that I want to improve, keep learning, and if I learn anything new, I'm going to share it with you guys as well. How is this podcast going? What I've learned, what hasn't been working for me. I started this podcast in around May. I don't think many people have listened to this podcast. I just have to stay consistent in my marketing and in my posting and just believe in myself. I haven't really have much downloads or feedback on this podcast. I really do believe in this podcast and what this podcast is about and what it stands for. I do want to continue sharing what I've been learning when I'm obviously trying to build this freedom fund. I'm not deterred in any way of the results I have been having so far. What I've learned or what I've noticed so far is at the beginning, I was so excited to start my podcast. I literally filmed so much content, just yapping away. This is very surprising because in the past, I'm not the type of person who can talk so comfortably in front of the camera, just like be able to yap and continue to speak like for a very long time. I'm very like introverted, soft-spoken. I'm the type of person doesn't speak that much. I was very surprised how much content I can create. Speaking of this podcast, one thing that I struggled with is I can create so much content, but edit took the longest time. What I've noticed when I share with you guys things that I learned, strategies that I'm implementing, as time goes past and I'm editing the podcast, by the time I edited the podcast, it would be kind of a month since I filmed it. There were so many things during that time frame where I've learned something new. What I've taught to you guys no longer is applicable because I found a newer and better strategy. I guess the timeline or something wasn't working for me, I shared it with you guys, and then I learned something new or like better way, or like it works and then I just found a better way to do it. That's very interesting. That's why I think it's just very important for me to keep sharing, learning, give you updates, I guess, of what, if it's working. It has been working, but I found something even better. That's been helping me a lot, and that's the most interesting and fascinating part of this whole process. I took a bit of break filming and editing the podcast, decided to keep going and doing this podcast and filming. I'm definitely due just for like a content planning day, just specifically for my podcast. I have like new ideas of what to share with you guys. That's what's been happening for both my coloring book business and my podcast, but I just want to show you some personal progress as well, what's been working, what hasn't been working. So I actually started to post more on TikTok. Another thing that's been helping a lot in my podcast episode is to post, kind of share my journey on TikTok. I have a personal TikTok called Vionna X, and that's where I share my journey of my coloring book business and my podcast. I think that's another way to share with people my journey of building my freedom fund. I've been using the podcast and repurposing long form content into short form content. I've been posting a few clips on TikTok. I think that's where I'm getting most of my reach from my podcast episodes. But that's really exciting, just to continue learning of what things people are interested in. If people are interested in my TikTok videos, it will translate more into my podcast. I can see what topics they're interested in on TikTok, and usually I can talk about that on my future podcast episode as well. That's why I like to film in video format, because I can always repurpose the content into TikTok, into Instagram, even YouTube Shorts. So I also post this podcast on YouTube. I can also turn it to YouTube Shorts for a bit more reach. That's the type of marketing I've been doing so far. It's been really fun doing that, learning how to content to create, just learning how to edit better. What hasn't been working is my energy levels lately has been basically rock bottom. I think it's just because it's the winter weather. Also, I'm juggling this with my 9 to 5. There's gonna be days I come home and I just don't feel like working my business. I just pick the easiest task to do just to keep myself being productive, and most of the time it's going to be my coloring book business. I don't know why, but because I'm looking and sitting at my screen for 8 hours a day, sometimes don't feel like editing, which is probably why there's a huge time frame between writing my podcast episode and editing the podcast. I feel like I can get through that by just being creative, just focusing on drawing and creating the coloring book business and just coloring it in. That's my business and life update for you guys. If you guys found this episode really informative and you learned something from this, but thank you guys so much for listening and watching this episode.